Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is one of the greatest, most influential titles in gaming history. It cemented Sega's status as a viable competitor to Nintendo and helped propel Sonic into becoming one of the media giants of the early 90s. There is so much to talk about with this game, and we're not even touching Masato Nakamura's soundtrack. So join me as I ramble on and on about how good this game truly is. Sonic 2 upgrades and improves everything present in Sonic 1. The levels are larger and faster, the bosses are more unique, and the special stages are much more impressive. But by far, the biggest change comes within the act zone structure. Sonic 2 is the first game in the series to have a 2-act structure instead of a 3-act structure. In Sonic 1, each zone had 3 acts in it, which was a little much. Seeing the same things and hearing the same song for up to 30 minutes at a time got boring at best and frustrating at worst. If you liked the zone, you got tired of it by Act 3, and if you didn't like a zone, it was outright painful to have to go through it 3 separate times. The 8-bit games fixed this issue with smaller levels and having Act 3 being a glorified boss room. Sonic 2 fixes this issue by getting rid of Act 3 entirely and having the boss at the end of Act 2. This would be the norm for a series going forward, and I can see why. Only playing through a level twice instead of 3 times ensures that nearly every zone doesn't overstay its welcome. It's a fantastic design choice, and I'm glad they stuck with it for future games. Sonic 2 is a much faster game than Sonic 1. You go through zones faster, you go through acts faster, and there's plenty of elements like ramps and loops throughout the game. The game puts much less emphasis on momentum than Sonic 1 does. Beneficial springs are everywhere, meaning that if you get hit halfway through a speedy section, you can quickly get back to zooming around. But most of the time you don't need the springs, due to possibly the biggest innovation Sonic 2 brings to the series: the spin dash. At any time, if you're stopped, you can crouch, mash the jump button, then let go of the D-pad to gain instant speed. This simple move is insanely useful and feels incredibly natural. The ability to get momentum on demand is crucial to helping the game's level design flow as it should. Like the 2-act structure, this became a staple of the series moving forward. Those are the big game-wide innovations. Everything else is zone specific, which is as good of a segue as I'm going to get. Sonic 2 goes through a wide variety of zones, each with their own unique themes, gimmicks, hazards, and badniks. The only real criticism I can give against how Sonic 2 uses its zones is that oftentimes the zones don't feel connected. You'll go from random theme to random theme with no clear through line between them. But this was a very common practice for games of this era, and it really doesn't matter. Emerald Hill Zone is a brighter, faster version of Green Hill Zone. Everything that made Green Hill Zone striking and memorable is turned up to 11. Loops, ramps, springs, palm trees, waterfalls, rings. It is every bit as fun and inviting as its predecessor was, and serves as a near-perfect opening zone. The boss for Emerald Hill is the first time you see Eggman in Sonic 2, and he gives quite an entrance. A driller car links up with the Eggmobile, which now has a cockpit resembling a jet fighter, and chases you down. A slow car does not pose much of a challenge for the fastest thing alive, and Eggman is swiftly defeated. You race onward, freeing the animals, and... guess I'm stuck here. Emerald Hill was faster than any zone in Sonic 1. Chemical Plant Zone takes one look at Emerald Hill and says, that's cute. Holy smokes, this is fast! Chemical Plant is the speediest zone from the classic era. Sonic Team went all out with these 2 levels, and it shows. Chemical Plant was featured heavily in the marketing for Sonic 2. Also, this is unrelated, but this ad is hilarious.
Sonic 2 fits easily into any tackle box. Made from a space-age polymer plastic for years of family fun. And pets love it too. Buy the Sega Genesis that comes with Sonic 1 and get Sonic 2 free.
Act now. Wiener Dog sweater sold separately.
Chemical Plant isn't just speedy though. It is also one of 2 zones in the game to feature water. Unlike Sonic 1, which sectioned off all of its water to Labyrinth Zone, Sonic 2 gives us light water areas in 2 zones. Chemical Plant's water section is this shaft, which is where many players first heard the infamous drowning theme. If you have childhood PTSD from this, I understand, but it's really not that hard. Your childhood self just sucked. Chemical Plant's boss is pretty easy all things considered, but also randomly difficult. Eggman pumps toxic waste into a container and then tries to drop it on you. The boss itself isn't hard, but staying on solid ground can be tricky. Aquatic Ruin Zone is the second and final zone in the game to feature water in it. Unlike Chemical Plant, the water is spread throughout the 2 acts evenly instead of being sectioned in Act 2. This is where the classic Sonic design philosophy is most apparent. The high path is quicker, if more dangerous, while the low path is slower, but safer. All the water is found in the lower half of the stage, making falling down there kind of a pain. Now, if you've seen my Sonic 1 review, which I know you haven't, but I'm going to assume you have, you know that I think that Labyrinth Zone hate is overhyped. I think the water physics are fair and that they provide a unique challenge in the game. So, with Sonic 2 being an improvement in every way, does less water equal a better zone? While it is certainly true that Quag Ruin is faster than Labyrinth, which is what most people want, I do not think it is as simple as less water equals better zone. As we will see in later games, I do not think the amount of water is the problem. I think the higher path is the key. You have to be able to avoid the water if you're good enough, otherwise it feels like you're being punished for nothing. That is the biggest problem with Labyrinth Zone, that you can't avoid the water. A Quag Ruin is the archetype for a zone that does this well. If you're good, you never see the water. If you're bad, you're surrounded by it. A Quag Ruin Zone's boss is supposed to be a platforming challenge, with the arrows serving as platforms that you can use to get to the top, but you can also just jump up here at the beginning and never touch the ground. Still fun though. Perhaps Sonic Team was worried about players' reactions to water physics, because Casino Night Zone is the definition of a chill zone. The music is laid back, there's only one type of badnik found here and it's not that common, and there are few hazards. Casino Night has you bouncing all around with springs, bumpers, other springs, other bumpers, but the most famous part is undoubtedly,
Let's go gambling! I can't stop winning! Aw, dang it!
so that's fun. The boss for Casino Night Zone is prepared for a rave, apparently. Electricity crackles in between the claws on the underside of the Eggmobile, preventing you from hitting the bottom. If you stand still long enough, Eggman will try to drop a bomb on you. It's a fun boss, especially since it was tailor-made for the spin dash. Hilltop Zone has terrible music, but we'll get into that next episode. Hilltop might be the weakest zone in the game. It's not bad by any means, but it very much feels like how Spring Yard Zone did in Sonic 1. This zone is the Leftovers. It's a collection of random elements that didn't really fit in the other zones, so Sonic Team just put them all in here. We're up above the clouds, but there's lava everywhere, but it's not a volcanic zone. There's just lava here for no reason. You can go underground and have to avoid earthquakes and rising magma, but it doesn't feel connected. There are these seesaw things that you can use to get up higher, which are neat, but they could fit in any other zone. As a result of all of these random elements, Hilltop is uninteresting and is the worst part of any playthrough for me. It doesn't help that it's the 5th zone in the game, so an uninteresting level can get you a little fatigued. Hilltop's boss features Eggman spraying fire at you and then trying to burn the island you're on. It's reasonably challenging, unless you realize that you can just keep grabbing that one ring back and not have to worry about damage. Mystic Cave Zone has a great theme and is probably my second favorite zone behind Chemical Plant. The music slaps, the challenges are unique, and running through an underground mine is really cool. This zone represents the best elements of Sonic 2. The boss is more difficult than most up to this point, mostly due to the low ceiling. Eggman drills through the rock and causes stalactites to fall. There's not a whole lot of reaction time to avoid the stalactites, and they always come in multiples. It's not possible though. Oil Ocean Zone is a zone set on an oil rig. It is fun. It has hazards and badniks. The end. Okay, seriously though, Oil Ocean Zone is fine. The best thing about it is the art direction, with all the structures being green, purple, and gold. There's nothing inherently wrong with the zone, but it falls victim to how Sonic 2 handles difficulty. You see, after Chemical Plant, the difficulty plateaus for a while. Oil Ocean Zone is the 5th zone to not be super hard. As a result, by the time you get to Oil Ocean, the game starts to feel very samey. The typical sense of progression is missing here. At the end of Act 2, Eggman shows up once more to fight you. This time he's in a submarine that has tentacles for some reason. Definitely feels more like a modern boss where you have to avoid the attacks and wait for the boss to show its weak spot. Or you could just jump under the platform and watch the attacks go by. I hate how this is an actual strategy, this is so stupid. Metropolis Zone increases the difficulty, length, and levels of annoyance at the game. It's comparable to Scrap Brain Zone in Sonic 1, but I consider Metropolis to be far superior to Scrap Brain. Whereas Scrap Brain is generically industrial, throws everything at you all at once, and gives up on its theme by Act 3, Metropolis has a steampunk factory theme, has a limited number of stage hazards, and continues with its theme all the way through. I think this zone is greatly helped by every stage having unique badniks in Sonic 2. Scrap Brain Zone was heavily supported by the stage hazards, since by that point in the game you had seen nearly every badnik available. Metropolis Zone can rely on new badniks alongside new stage hazards, providing a more equal mix of challenges and giving you time to breathe occasionally. Not to mention the copper steampunk aesthetic looks great. Possibly the most infamous part about Metropolis Zone, however, is that it has a third act. Metropolis is the only zone in the game to do this. It's probably to trick you into thinking it's the last zone, but it's also possible they need another level and decide to stretch out Metropolis. It's not a huge issue, since I think Metropolis is fun enough to warrant 3 acts, but I know a lot of people dislike 3 acts in any capacity. In the final, normal, boss of the game, Eggman shows up with several metal eggs spinning around the Eggmobile, and when you hit the Eggmobile, one of the eggs will pop off and turn into a mini Eggmobile. I said Eggmobile a lot there, dang. These mini Eggmen pop like bubbles when you hit them, so the fight isn't too hard. When all of the eggs are gone, Eggman starts shooting lasers at you, but calling this a separate stage to the fight is a stretch since... yeah. Sky Chase Zone takes you on a thrilling journey through the clouds. Theoretically. In actuality, the stage is pretty chill. You're just jumping on badniks in front of a beautiful sky backdrop. It's only 1 act long, which is good since I don't think this gameplay warrants 2 separate stages. At the end, there isn't a boss, so you move on ahead into Wing Fortress Zone is the second worst zone in the game. The only thing saving it from being the worst zone is that the theme is a lot more interesting than Hilltop Zone. Wing Fortress is a massive flying warship, but for some reason the vast majority of the stage is on the outside. You dance around the exterior of the ship, dodging propellers and cannons and whatever this area is. Color scheme wise, the zone sucks. I get there are only so many colors you can use for your stages, but brown? Really? The ship is drab, half of the challenges feel random, and you don't even go inside until the boss. As the last true level in the game, this is a disappointing end. The boss doesn't have you fight Eggman. Instead, he locks you in a room with spiked platforms and a laser that tries to target you. It's not exactly a fun boss fight, but it is the penultimate zone, so the challenge is warranted. When you destroy the laser, Eggman flees to his rocket. With the help of Tails, you get onto the rocket and ride it until it docks with the Death Egg. To call a Death Egg Zone a zone is a bit of a stretch. There is a hallway, a boss room, and a bigger boss room. Well, that's it. Death Egg Zone is infamous for giving you no rings before the 2 toughest fights in the game. I understand how it's frustrating, especially if you've only played the Genesis games up to this point, but having no rings in a boss fight is pretty par for the course in the series thus far. Neither 8-bit game gave you rings for any boss fight, let alone the final one. So what I'm saying is, Silver Sonic is the penultimate boss, and it is hard. For other people. Because I'm such a nice guy, I'll share my guide to beating Silver Sonic quickly and easily. Also, before I begin, I want to say that I did not come up with this strategy. I copied it from a Geek Critique video. Go check him out, he makes great videos. So, you run in, and Silver Sonic begins his descent. Get under him and start spin dashing. Make sure you're in front of his heels, those will crush you. Once you get 4 hits in, spin dash away. Avoid his spin attack, then go into a spin dash in the middle of the room. Hold it until he returns to his original position. From there, just jump on Silver Sonic twice more to destroy him. Congrats! You did it! Once Silver Sonic gets obliterated, Eggman flees to the Death Egg Robot. The Death Egg Robot is massive and imposing, with varied attacks and limited vulnerability window. The only truly safe time to strike it is when he leans down after flying. It takes 12 hits to destroy, making it the toughest boss in the game. When you do finally defeat it, the Death Egg Robot explodes, setting off a chain reaction through the rest of the space station. As you fall from orbit, Tails catches you in the tornado and the game ends. Overall, Sonic 2 has some very strong zones. The highlights, mainly Chemical Plant and Mystic Cave, are some of the best levels in the entire franchise. And even the worst levels, Hilltop and Wing Fortress, aren't really bad. They still have good level design, unique hazards, interesting themes, well, for Wing Fortress, and you can still have fun playing them. All things considered, they're both good zones. It's just that all the other zones are so much better. The standard of quality Sonic 2 sets is ridiculously high. It's one of those games that keeps the franchise afloat for years to come. But that's not the only type of stage in Sonic 2. In 1991, the Sega Genesis was competing with the Nintendo Entertainment System, and the Sonic 1 special stage looked like this. The NES couldn't do that. In 1992, the Sega Genesis was competing with the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, and the SNES could do that. Sonic 2's special stages had to be more impressive than a rotating maze. So what did Sonic Team end up making? I can only imagine how amazing this must have been to a kid in 1992 who had never seen anything like it before. Even 33 years later, I'm impressed that the Genesis could pull this off. Instead of having to find Chaos Emerald inside of a spinning maze, this time you have to run through an endless half pipe and collect enough rings to get to the Chaos Emerald. If you don't have enough rings when you pass a checkpoint, you exit out of the special stage. There are also bombs that you have to avoid, since hitting them will cause you to lose some of your rings. It's much more Sonic-y than the Sonic 1 special stage, and more fun. There are 7 special stages in total, 1 for each emerald. That's right, they added one. We'll discuss why in a little bit, but for now, just know that there are 7 Chaos Emeralds now. Each stage is more difficult than the last, and I can't say I'm very good at them. I've never gotten past the 3rd stage, but they are still fun. As long as you're not playing as Sonic and Tails. You see, when you have both characters in the special stage, Tails lags behind Sonic. This is not preferable, since these special stages require lots of quick, precise movements. The long and short of it is that Tails is running into every bomb in the level and you can't do anything about it. If your goal is to collect all of the emeralds, please, go with Sonic or Tails alone. But what do the emeralds do? Once you collect all 7 Chaos Emeralds, you have the ability, as Sonic, not Tails, to turn Super. Get 50 rings in a level, double jump, and turn into a being of unimaginable power. Super Sonic is faster than Sonic already is, has invincibility, and is so powerful that he changes the stage music to his own theme. Super Sonic is a lot of fun and is a much better reward for collecting everything to gain a good ending. And that was Sonic the Hedgehog 2. The single player mode. Sonic 2 has multiplayer mode. If you didn't know about this, that's understandable. Nobody talks about the 2-player versus mode anymore, despite it being a major selling point when it first came out. In the days before online multiplayer, couch multiplayer was a major feature. One of the criticisms leveled at Sonic 1 was that it was single player only. Sonic 2 aimed to fix that. Despite this, Sonic 2's multiplayer does feel like an afterthought. There are only 3 zones you can play through, and they add in the special stages as tiebreakers. I do believe that Sonic Team focused on the single player side of the game, then added the 2-player versus mode in order to round out the game. I'm glad they focused on the single player mode since that's the core of the game, but playing through the stages with someone else was fun. The 2-player versus mode works like this. Both players race through Emerald Hill Zone, Mystic Cave Zone, and Casino Night Zone. Each zone is the exact same as in the main game, with the exception of the item monitors now being randomized. 2 new items are in the 2-player versus mode, Eggman and Teleport. Eggman will cause you to take damage like you hit a badnik or stage hazard, and makes you more cautious of jumping on item boxes. Teleport will switch the places of the 2 players, which has the potential to change the game. I think the new items are here to discourage players from hitting every item box in a level and blazing through without contest. You're taking a definite risk when you go for an item monitor, especially the farther ahead you are. I like it. If there is a tie in the zone, the players will play through a special stage to decide the true winner. The special stages work like they do in the main game, having you collect rings and avoid bombs, but it only lasts for 3 checkpoints and is best 2 out of 3. Even if one player has won on 2 checkpoints, the third one is always played through. After 2 more zones and a separate round of special stages, a winner is declared. Overall, it's a fun mode. I wish they removed the special stages though. As a tiebreaker, they're a nice change of pace the first time you play it, but it quickly becomes the worst part of the competition, and the 4th zone being the 2 special stages you've been playing is particularly annoying. It would have been much better if they simply had the 3 normal zones with the tiebreaker being Chemical Plant or something. But despite my complaints, I still had a blast playing it with my friend Ben, and this is what I thought of it. Alright, so Ben, we just played through like, I don't know, an hour, 45 minutes, an hour, or however long it was, of the 2-player mode of Sonic the Hedgehog 2. What were your thoughts on it?
It was good. Been a while since I'd played a Sonic game. Controls were alright. Definitely shows its age in sections. It does not run great when one of us gets hit or something like that. No, I liked the experience. Good Sonic game.
Did you have a stage that you liked the most, or were they all pretty equal?
I like the visuals of the Night Casino.
Casino Night Zone.
Night. Yep. That one.
This is what I have to deal with, everybody.
No, I like the visuals of the Casino Night Zone, but I mean, I assume the music was great.
Did you have a least favorite zone?
If the gray special level counts, that one was pretty bad. But also the jungle or the cave,
Mystic Cave
Mystic
Zone?
Cave Zone. There were plants, so I thought jungle.
There weren't any plants. The ground was green. That's it.
Oh. Anyways, the Mystic Cave Zone was probably my least favorite just because of all the doors. But that also could just me being bad at the game. So.
Nah, you're not. Oh, you thought the game wasn't good? Skill issue. Your opinion invalid. What do you think of the special stage portion? Would you remove it from the game if possible?
No. It doesn't, like, really feel out of place, but I can see why it could, like, break up gameplay a bit more. If the stages led into each other one after the other, I think that would be better. Like, you did one stage, had special stage, and then did another normal stage again without having to go to the select screen.
Sonic 2 also lets you have 2 players in the single player mode. Basically, nothing changes for the person playing Sonic, but Tails constantly goes off screen and dies. To compensate for this, Tails has unlimited lives. This is not super fun unless you're playing as Sonic, but I suppose it's better than nothing. Sonic 2 is an incredible game. It is fun and colorful from Emerald Hill Zone to Death Egg Zone. If you made it this far and you haven't played it yet, go do that. Now, thank you for watching, and if you're wondering why I haven't talked about Masato Nakamura's soundtrack yet, that's because that will be its own video, which will come out next Sunday. If that sounds interesting, make sure to like and subscribe, gamblers.